What is up, everybody, and welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. This is your chairman speaking, and today I have my very special guest who says the fall of the Short King has ended and Short King winter is coming. Amanda Rivas from the Pop Break. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm great. It's Short King winter now, and I'm here for it. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. It's always a blast being here with you.
We always enjoy having you on. Now let's play this wonderful intro. It's possibly the best in podcasting. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
It's a trap!
All right. Amanda, what have you been up to lately? I know you have had a busy summer and fall.
Yeah, it's been busy podcasting front. We're, of course, covering various topics of socially distanced weekly. And then, of course, hey, Kelvin! And, of course, we've been busy on
That's my
anime.
bro. That's my brother right there.
He's so great. Kelvin! Of course, we've been busy on anime pop as well. So lots going on the podcasting front, lots going on the cosplay front. Oh my gosh. Like I feel like
I know. I've been watching your adventures. And y'all just did what was it?
NostalgiaCon in
NostalgiaCon.
Houston.
And
It
I seen Brandon wrestle in full cosplay, which was amazing.
Yes, he enjoys it. That's like his element. It's a whole different level when he's up in cosplay wrestling. So we had a great time. We met a lot of different voice actors. I think one of the highlights was having Brian Donovan and Skip Stellarek, who were Mike Guy and Rock Lee in Naruto, jump in their match, and that was completely unplanned. And
That
they were
was
great.
awesome.
That was amazing. So we appreciate them so much. They're great people, and we had a blast, and we debuted new cosplays.
I noticed
And
those
it
were
was
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so busy on the cosplay front. We're planning for next year. We're trying to get organized. In fact,
Oh, good luck with that.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
the
y'all,
hardest part.
I'm looking around me right now, and I'm like, we got a lot of storage in, so we're working on all of those. But of course, he's been busy wrestling. He's got, I think, at least another show for the end of the year for Hybrid School of Wrestling. So that's December 21st. So he'll be wrestling and living his emo best life. So
we're breaking back out the flocking emo, huh?
Oh, that's him. That is all him. People ask me like, is that? I'm like, the emo kid in him is real. He is the elder emo. That is
That's
all
awesome.
him. It's all him.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. But what about you, my friend? How have you been?
I've been good. Busy with work, busy with this. I'm still continuing my USDN Shorts weekly on New Comic Book Day. I recently did my first ever how do I describe it? I was asked to review a comic book on Kickstarter that hasn't come out yet.
Nice.
So the writer sent me all the press details. He sent me the journalist copy of the comic book. So I got to do a nice little blurb over on Blue Sky that I shared over onto all my other platforms as well. And I'm really excited for this book. It's called The Cryos. And if you're a fan of 80s punk rock and H.G. Wells stories and Matt's Headroom, then it's going to be a cool comic book for y'all to pick up when it comes out.
Yeah, I love that you're doing the shorts, honestly,
They're
because
really fun. They
it
really are.
and they're very helpful because I know for me, I've come in and out of the world of comics, and it's really nice to get somebody that I trust. That's like,
Yeah,
like
I appreciate
talking
it.
to you, talking to Bill, some of my other friends that are into
You know,
comics, and it's like you guys give recommendations, and it's like, okay, like I know it's a good,
mhm.
it's a good choice. So I'm
And
glad you're doing the shorts.
I'll be doing a blurb with Bill on my comic book for 2024 here soon. I'm
Yeah.
just waiting for him to shoot me the details on that. So I'll be getting that written up and over to him here soon as I get more details on it. So I'm excited to do that. And I'm excited he
Yeah.
asked. So I mean, that tells me that he trusts me to put something out there for him that he will enjoy and everybody will enjoy over at the pop break. So I'm excited to do
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for doing that for us. So I can't
No,
wait to
I
read it.
always enjoy it. That's to me, talking comic books and comic book characters I've always enjoyed, and I enjoy it even more now that I'm collecting again and reading them again. So I owe it all to my daughter. It's her fault that I'm, back into comic books and doing that fun stuff. So
But that's going to pay off for what we're talking about.
it really is. Are you ready
I'm
to take
ready.
a walk?
I'm ready.
All
I
right,
think
let's.
I think I know where we're going, but you're gonna.
Oh, we're going down the witch's road today for at least a little bit. So let's jump into it. Let's hit Agatha All Along. And I thought we'll start with the cast. I really liked this casting they chose for this. And see and Deborah Jo, Miss Hart,
Yes.
watching her in that 90s show being Miss Red Foreman again was amazing. I love her anytime she shows up because we know we're going to get almost the same identical character, but she plays it differently every single time.
She does. She adds a little nuance and a little spin to it that you just enjoy her. No matter what.
She's
It doesn't get
awesome.
old. It does
And I
not
was
get old.
so sad when they canceled that 90s show. Like I was really enjoying it because I was a big fan of that 70s show. And then when they
Yeah.
said, "Oh yeah, we're going to get rid of that 90s show, we're canceling it," I'm like, "No!"
But not to totally tangent here, they are bringing back Malcolm in the Middle. Did you see that?
I did see that, and I need to make my post on it because I'm excited about that too. I don't know if the other two brothers from Malcolm in the Middle are going to be
It
joining the
said they're
cast.
bringing all the original cast back.
Well, I thought there was one, the youngest one, who said he would never do the show
Oh,
again.
we'll find
So
out.
I'm not sure.
But
I
maybe
mean, I
if
would
they're
love to see them all back.
yeah, maybe if they're bringing Malcolm in the Middle back, maybe that 90s show will be back. Maybe instead of that 90s, it'll be that 2000s. Who knows?
That would be cool too. Yeah.
Might
I
be
mean,
some
I've
hope.
seen them both.
Might be some
So
hope.
we'll see. So, and then we had Kathryn Hahn, of course, reprising her role as Agatha, who I'm such a big fan of Kathryn Hahn. Since Step Bros, like that to me, she cemented herself for me. And she's not that average Hollywood, like, she's not this knockout gorgeous, person that we see in Hollywood. She's the girl next door, and you're like, man, like she sells comedy so well.
She does. Her physical comedy. You don't really see a lot of physical comedy, I feel like, anymore. Like to me, she reminds me a lot. I grew up, I'm a big I Love Lucy fan. I'm a big
Yes.
Lucille Ball fan. And she has that same energy. And you
The
don't
moment you
see
said
that.
physical comedy, out my head immediately went to I Love Lucy,
Yeah.
who we owe everything to because she basically gave us the sci-fi genre.
She did.
When she gave us Star Trek and greenlit it herself and paid for it herself.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't see that kind of physical comedy from a lot of female comedians. You don't. And so Kathryn Hahn is very, very refreshing. I loved her in Parks and Rec. She was just a scene stealer.
Parks and Rec is so good. That's one of my go-to shows.
Same.
So I will go to Parks and Rec before I'll watch The Office.
Yeah, there's just the thing about Parks and Rec. I enjoy The Office, but I feel like I enjoyed the early mid parts of The Office before, kind of before the cast changes and all of that. Like the latter seasons, I didn't care for too
Yeah.
much. It's one of those I stuck with because I'm like, well, I've watched this far.
Yeah. You're
But
committed at that point.
yeah, and then Parks and Rec though, consistently good across the board. Just consistently great. And Kathryn Hahn just showing up. Again, she stole the show. She's like, I would love to be your best friend. She's
Oh
just
yeah.
that level of awesome. And she was a perfect fit for Agatha.
She was. And she fit the character, the comic book version of the character to a T. Who, by the way, she first made her appearance in, what was it? Issue 94 of the Fantastic Four in October of 1969.
Huh.
She was invented by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and she was an ally of Marvel's first family, and she was the nanny to Reed Richards and Sue Storm's son, Franklin. That is where she got her start, which is really cool. She's
That
been
is really cool.
out that long. And oh, by the way, she's the first and only character to get a Marvel TV show who doesn't have her own standalone comic book.
That I did not know. Really? No standalone?
She has no standalone comic book.
Huh.
I think she does now because they did a run of Agatha All Along comic book, but nonetheless, before the TV show, like did anybody really know before WandaVision who she was?
No, unless you read Fantastic Four or some of the other,
and that's issue 94 that came out in 1969. The odds, well, I'm sure there's some people that still have that comic book laying around, but the odds of them actually reading it still are slim.
Yeah.
So,
wow, I had no idea. So no pre-existing minus, I mean, we had, now you mentioned the Agatha All Along comic, which I don't really, it's like an adaptation. I feel like I'm like, but pure Agatha story, there's nothing.
Nothing exists.
Huh. I did not know that. I am today years old learning that.
Yep. Which to me is cool that Marvel put together a show based on a character who really didn't have a backstory, who didn't really have, a lot to go on. And they created the backstory for her, which was written and done beautifully. I love the way they did it. Yes. As they told the story throughout each episode of her past.
Yes.
And I was like, and then we had that, what was it? I think it was episode 3 where we had that initial flashback scene.
Yes.
I can't remember if it was like 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah. And that
good.
was probably the best flashback scene I had ever seen. And we've gotten some good ones in Marvel, but that one, I'm not sure who actually wrote that episode, but that was the best flashback I had seen in Marvel. So kudos to that team over there that wrote this, because this show showed that you can do a Marvel show on a smaller, insignificant character as she may be.
Yeah. Oh, the finale episode. I know we'll get there, but just even the extra fleshed out backstory.
Yes.
Was, I mean, I completely agree with everything you're saying. I mean, just to take someone that is a relatively minor character in the franchise, and then you give them this incredibly rich backstory, moving backstory.
Yeah.
I had my kudos to yours. Good chairman.
Appreciate it. And, this show immediately picks up where WandaVision left off and just kind of keeps going with the flow of things. And I thought that was just really cool the way they did it, because she's still stuck in the WandaVision bubble herself when all the neighbors are out of it. But Agatha herself is not. She's still stuck. Like, she's basically still a squatter in somebody's home. So
I enjoyed the True Detective.
I did too. Like, I really enjoyed the way they opened it up. And I was just like, man, if the whole thing is like this, but of course, she comes out of it at the end of the episode when Aubrey Plaza makes her appearance, which I thought, well, I want to save Aubrey. Let's talk about Joe Locke, who played Wiccan. Another character choice that I've never heard of this kid. Never heard of him. He may be like a 20-something. I don't know. But he did such an excellent job. And even his backstory in this show was done very well. It's not like the comic book, but it was done so well that it didn't bother you. And
Yeah.
I'm still applauding the writers. I'm probably going to do that the entire time we talk about this because it was a very well written show.
Well, and I have to give props to the costume department too, because I loved his look. Like just
The
especially when
little
he
emo
goes,
kid.
yeah, well, like even the little crown that mirrors
So
Wanda's, like,
that was actually done as a homage to his mom and to
yes.
the original Wiccan in the comic book.
Yes, I loved the colors, I loved the look, like, there was just it was such a really well put together, beautiful aesthetic.
Yeah,
That is the
and
first thing I
realizing
noticed.
how strong he actually was without realizing how strong he actually was great storytelling. Like the entire Witch's Road isn't even real.
Yeah,
He made that in his own mind and put all the other coven witches in it, which
and
is phenomenal. That's
it
his
is.
that's up there with his mom's level of power.
I think even in the ways potentially could surpass Wanda's power.
Yeah.
Because if you're creating new realities, if you will,
Mhm.
in your with your powers,
And he didn't even know.
no.
I mean, at
And
least when Wanda did it, she kind of knew. She was off her rocker again, and she knew what she was doing. And he didn't even realize he had the ability. I mean, I think he kind of knew that he had a power, but I don't think he realized he had it to that extent.
and that's him right now being able to do a power that technically in her prime she's doing, is the way I'm looking at
Mm-hmm.
it. And that whole ability when you're a teenager to do exactly what your mom does and then a little bit more.
Yep.
I'm like, wow, how much more powerful is Wiccan going to be? And then that's not even including his dad's abilities
Yes.
as well. So I'm like, how much more powerful is Wiccan going to be
He's
compared to
definitely
Sasheer?
nerfed in the show in the beginning, but I don't mind it because it was done so well.
Well, and it made you care about him
It really
as a
did.
character. And so when his
It did.
story hit, Joe Locke, man, knocked it out of the park.
He
I
absolutely amazing.
adored him, and I love the chemistry he has with Kathryn Hahn. Their ability to
Yes.
play off each other, his comedic timing and pulling everybody together and being able to interplay with a lot of these very famous actresses who are known for their comedic
Mm-hmm.
timing. Just he fit in beautifully.
So let's talk about the other coven witches. We had Sasheer Zamata playing Jennifer Kell,
Oh,
Ali On, who is a fantastic stand-up, playing Alice Wu Gulliver, whose mom wrote the song. And then we had, of course, Patti
Patti
LuPone
LuPone.
playing
Yeah.
Lillian, who was their I forgot what she was. She was a psychic in the TV series.
You could see glimpses of the future.
Yeah, and then Aubrey Plaza playing Rio Vidal, aka Death. But I like how when they were doing the flashback scene, how we seen how all of these people intertwined with each other to begin with.
Yes. Yes. I thought that was brilliant when we got to Wiccan's backstory, if you
Yes.
will, and how how everyone interplayed. Like here's how he saw,
Yep.
here's how he saw this person or this person and this person, and they're all here together. And it's the witch coven castings were perfect.
Yep. And here's another cool thing. Jennifer Kell is one of the ghostwriters' cousin. Oh, you're good. I'm surprised mine isn't doing the same
Yeah.
thing.
Somebody's at my but like probably, buddy, come on. He just wanted to make his presence known and just apologize for a little earlier, I'm sure.
Nah, he's good. He's just doing what he does.
Yeah.
But so I'm waiting to see because they've already said that Jennifer Kell's character, or Sasheer Zamata's Jennifer Kell, will show up later on in a ghostwriter, type of role or movie or series, whatever they have planned for Ghostwriter. And I know Patti LuPone just got nominated for an award for a Best Supporting Actress, which was really cool to see that the show was getting so much love during award season.
Yes.
I don't know if they won anything, but it was cool to see a relatively unknown character so well written that it is getting nominated, and the characters in it are getting nominated for awards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of. I have to go look at who else is nominated in the different categories because I'm wondering if they'll pick up something like special effects or
Yeah.
costume. Like I could see something along those lines. Although I hope that it would be lovely to see somebody from the show actually win
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
something because they all did a great job.
Their special effects team, especially the practical effects, when it came time
Yes.
to make Death in Aubrey Plaza and how they
Yeah.
evolved her character per episode, slowly revealing who she was. And I was like, when she cut, like in the one scene where they're on the Witch's Road and she cut the fabric of time and just walked through it, I'm like, there's very few characters that could do that. So that at that point in my head, I'm like, she's got to be one of two characters that could do that. And one of them is Death, because Death is everywhere all at once.
Yes.
And I'm like, if she ends up being Death, I'm probably going to lose my mind. And sure enough, I lost it. I was just like, oh my God, yes, we have Death in the MCU.
She's a perfect choice.
She really was.
Too.
Like, her quirky character, and like she pulled like very much from her character on Parks and Rec. Like she had little sprinkles of her character from Parks and Rec, with how she was always very grim and very like, I want to say emo, but very emo.
Well, I feel like even some of the humor she injected was very April Ludgate style, and I was here for it. But I loved her costumes, her look throughout the show. Just
her evolution was magic.
Yes. But I have to go back to Patti LuPone for a minute because her backstory, and I love that they did this for the Witch's Road. I know we'll talk about it, but her backstory and the way her story completed was so beautifully done.
It really was. And her own flashbacks, and then finally her demise ultimately, and being back where she kind of wanted to be and to reset herself with her, I think it was her grandmother in that she had the flashbacks with.
I don't know if it was her grandmother, definitely her teacher.
Yeah.
But yes, like I guess her coven leader, I would suppose.
Her mentor, whoever it was.
Yeah.
But that to me was like, I hated to see her go because it was heartbreaking, but they did it so well.
Do you think she's actually dead though? Because remember, she can hop in and out through time.
It's Marvel. Nobody's ever actually like dead. So
because I'm like, they're telling us she hops inadvertently in and out through time in different timelines. So
I think she was discovering new powers as we went.
Yeah, but beautifully acted by Patti LuPone. Beautifully acted.
Absolutely.
And you had to have her sing.
Yes. I loved how each little trial during the Witch's Road was something just a little different. My favorite one was probably the band.
Oh, I loved that one. I was here for the 70s vibe right off the bat. That was right up my alley. Did I want to take like Aubrey Plaza's wardrobe? Yes, I did.
Everybody did. Everybody did.
Dude. Everybody did. Oh, somebody wants to make an appearance.
Yeah.
All the fur babies are like, hi.
Yeah.
We're here today.
He's like, I want to get to the other side, but you're blocking my way, dude. He's like, you have a microphone and everything else.
And he's like, you're talking about a band episode in 70s? Here I am.
Yeah. He
make my appearance.
He randomly likes to show up. I stopped him from giving everybody a show of his starfish. So
yeah,
nobody wants to see it. That's his favorite thing to do. He'll hop in and he'll say, "Hey, here's my starfish. Everybody have a look," and then he'll jump off and go do his thing.
It's about right for cats.
Oh yeah, he's on par for being himself. So,
but those. What did you think of how they did the Witch's Road as each of the witches' trial?
I enjoyed it. Like it was. I like how, despite young Wiccan here, or teen as he's known, he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's doing it perfectly and helping everybody. on the way down the witch's road. Like subconsciously, he's doing these things, and subconsciously, he's helping each one of his friends from the coven work through their own mental or whatever trial. Like each trial is meant to help each witch with their own problem that they're currently having, or however you want to say that.
Right.
And it was done so well. Like the way each one represented a witch and helped a different witch with their own problems. So I really enjoyed it. And how about you?
I did. I enjoyed it. I thought that was a really great way to help you connect to each of the witches in the coven. I love that it was tied to the song lyrics, and so
Yes.
each journey, and it was really well done. And I feel like, for me, I even like some of the comedy that was injected. Like I was cracking up with the Jennifer skincare.
Yes.
Like we need like petroleum or something, like just up hers there. She's like, I was like, it's just this kind
Yeah,
of a
that
jam.
was. She's like, because she was cursed, and she was cursed by, one of Kathryn Hahn's old, somebody that she worked for previously in the past who wanted to dull her powers. So I like how everything just came back to every little thing. Like every detail around this coven is interwoven to such great detail, in that they were always interwoven, and just
Yes.
none of them never knew it until they started the walk down the witch's road.
Yeah.
So,
So well done. So,
like I said,
so well done.
I will keep going back to it. Kudos to this writing team and this team in general, the actors, the actresses, producers, writers, directors, what have you, all executed this show so well. So I can't say that enough. So
Yeah. What'd you think about the song itself?
it's so catchy. I still find myself, singing it. And it's actually why I named the title of this episode Down the Witch's Road, because it's such a catchy thing. And from here until eternity, anytime you see Down the Witch's Road, you're immediately going to sing the song.
Yes.
And I thought it was cool what it actually represented with Kathryn Hahn's Agatha and her son.
Yes.
And it was a fun, quirky little song they made up as they were traveling along the old world. So I thought that was really cool, that it wasn't meant to be what it was. It was just a fun song she sung with her son as they traveled.
And I give kudos to all the actresses and the actors for singing the
Yeah.
song. I think I saw a clip. I don't know if it was like comicbook.com or something, where they showed like a behind the scenes, like of the actual, all the actresses singing the song themselves. And I thought that was
I
so,
seen that one.
so cool.
I seen the
Yes.
little short on YouTube, but I
Yes.
think it was originally done by comicbook.com.
Yeah. And it was cool just seeing them, that takes tremendous talent.
And it was so cool because, like, some of the behind the scenes type stuff, this entire cast and crew got along so well together. You can tell they were enjoying each other while they filmed. So I
Yes.
thought that was really cool. You don't see a lot of that where you can tell, like, where they actually get along with each other. And they're actually having
Absolutely.
fun on the show. It's not just, oh, we're here to do a job. No, they're having fun while they're doing it. So it was really cool to see that. So here's one more for you. Another little fun trivia. And then we'll probably move on to Creature Commandos after this, unless you have something else for Agatha. But the exterior scenes of Westview were filmed on Blondie Street on Warner Brothers Ranch before the neighborhood was demolished.
Huh.
The set was previously used for WandaVision, and the house that Agatha lived in should have looked very familiar because it was used on the TV series Bewitched.
I wondered. It did
Mm-hmm.
look familiar, especially when they're having
Yep.
the fight inside. I was like, there's something about this house.
Yep. The old wood paneling
Bewitched.
gave it away.
Yes.
Yep. So I thought that was really cool.
That is really neat. I didn't realize it was Bewitched. I was like, this looks familiar for some reason.
I was like, it's either Bewitched or Dick Van Dyke or one of those.
See, I thought maybe Dick Van Dyke. I thought maybe that was like, it's definitely a retro show, like an older show. But I was like, which one?
or I
And
Dream of Jeannie even,
yeah,
because they were all around that same time frame. And I was just like, because my head was like, this house is very 70s. I'm like,
yes,
I'm like, I've seen this before. And then as I was, writing the original episode for Agatha, and I was like looking for fun little facts for it, I come across that one. I was like, oh, that's perfect. And that's so cool that it was Bewitched. Because
yes,
it made it, we're talking about witches. So it was like, dude, that's like the way everything's tied together from the house. There's some type of callback and reference to everything. Even on the opening and closing credits, they had tie-ins to other shows. And I'm just like,
well, and
this was done so well.
even some Wiccan,
Yeah.
kind of actual practicing beliefs. Like I'm not. I've read into, obviously, like, you look at stuff like horoscopes, astrology, even some like, kind of basic Wiccan things. But I have friends who have dove into it more, and they're very interested in witchcraft and how that all comes together, the history of witches and whatnot. They're like, a lot of the information was very accurate. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's really neat. They
They
took
did their
care of
homework.
detail.
They definitely did
I
their
just
homework.
I just wish somebody had like scrunched their nose and done the little,
If
at
somebody
least
would have
once.
did the I Dream of Jeannie thing, I've been like, okay, I've seen everything. I'm like, this is perfect now. I can go ahead, dig my
I
hole, stick me in it. I'm good to go.
See, now that I know the house is bewitched, I just really wanted somebody to pull a Samantha and do the little nose wiggle. I can't do it. Sad, I
I can
can't.
absolutely not.
Yeah,
But
can't do it.
but yeah. So overall, recommend, not recommend. Would you go back and watch it again?
I definitely would recommend to people. Now, I find myself going, okay, like, I personally enjoyed it. I loved it. I think there's two camps of people. That there are people who
Mm-hmm.
prefer the ground level Marvel,
Yeah.
kind of the more of the true, like, fighting Avengers, or like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of, was it like with Daredevil coming out and all of that. I think somebody who's more ground level may have a tougher time with the show, even though it's an excellent show. I think that's what I've heard when I've talked to other people about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that people who enjoyed WandaVision and Doctor Strange, and kind
Yeah.
of the more multiversal, a little bit more theoretical, magical elements of it, are really going to enjoy this show. For
Yeah.
me, I
And those
recommend it
elements
to
have
everybody.
always been there.
They have. It's just, yeah, and you've talked to some of the same people, I'm sure, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh
want
yeah.
my ground level Marvel.
Yeah.
I think if people are open to it, if you're a ground level Marvel person, be open to this, because it is really, really neat. And you're going to see,
And
like,
it's relevant.
Wiccan. Yeah. And Wiccan and Agatha, you're going to see them again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't think we'll get a Agatha season 2, but I do
We
think
can ask.
we'll get maybe a Wiccan season 1
Oh,
with
okay.
Agatha helping him find his brother. Because
See,
remember at the end, he found his brother and he shoved his soul into another body.
yes. See, I'm thinking that we are going to get, so I would rewatch the show, to answer that question. And I think that, um, I feel like we're going to see Wiccan pop up in like a Young Avengers
That would be
project.
awesome.
Now, I
Yeah.
think we're going to get cameos, like people are going to run into Wiccan as he's doing his search, maybe here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we're going to see full fleshed out what's going on in Young Avengers. I feel like they're setting up for it.
I do too, especially with I know they just announced Hawkeye season 2 not that long
Yes.
ago. So I definitely see it. And now that they've cast Aubrey Plaza as Death, and Death has been around since the beginning of Marvel. Like, she's made appearances in the older comic books. She's always been there in the background. And supposedly there were cut scenes from other Marvel movies that featured a, a Death character that we never saw because it was cut for timing or what have you. But now that it is Aubrey Plaza as Death, they can't cast nobody else as Death.
Yeah.
It has to be Aubrey Plaza until, the end of Marvel or the end of Aubrey. One or the other. That's how it has to be now.
Well, never say never, because look at what they're doing with Robert Downey. Now Chris Evans.
Yeah. And I wish when people would announce, like, hey, I'm done with Marvel. Thank you for having me. They would just stay done, because I don't know how I really feel until I see what version of Doctor Doom we're going to get, or what version of Chris Evans we're going to get. Are we going to get Captain Hydra, Chris Evans? Are we going to get a alternate timeline Iron Man where he became Doctor Doom? So there's a lot of things there that I'm not really
I think we're getting Beholder.
feeling. I mean, that's possible too.
I kind of feel like they're bringing back the original Avengers to be like evil versions of themselves and to really psychologically mess with everyone.
That's
Like, can you
always a
imagine?
possibility.
Can you imagine Tom Holland's Spider-Man? Like Doctor Doom pulls off the mask and it's Mr. Stark.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can see that too, but we'll see.
So
so far,
never if they recast.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they recast these guys because I mean they couldn't play the parts forever.
Right.
But we'll see how it works out. But you ready to talk Task Force M?
Are we ready to bump into Task Force M on the road? Because I'm ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm ready.
Let's jump over to Task Force M, aka the Creature Commandos, who I've been a big fan of the Creature Commandos, and like just in DC in general, I'm a bigger fan of like the Justice League Dark,
Okay.
which some of these guys have been a part of that team in the past, and like the magic, more of the focus on like the John Constantines and the Zatannas and that kind of stuff. That's always been my favorite DC characters. Not this Batmans and the Supermans and that kind of stuff, but these guys, these odd bunch of people that we have playing Task Force M. I've always been a bigger fan of these guys. So for me, this show is like a dream come true.
Yay.
So I was really excited when they made this announcement, and James Gunn was like, because he tried to get this show made before and DC shut him down. So as soon as he became the head of DC, he was like, hey, I'm greenlighting my own show that I pitched to you years ago. So good on him. He's like, oh, I'll just become the head of DC and do it myself. So then that's what he did. And this is the first part of his chapter 1 of DC that he's calling Gods and Monsters. So this is the first installment of that. And I'm ecstatic, to be fair. Such a huge fan of these types of comic book characters, your unlikely heroes, if you will. So for me,
yes.
I'm all about it. And we got Viola Davis back as Amanda Waller, Anya Chalotra as Cersei, which is another really cool kind of bottom, like she's from the same world as Wonder Woman. She's an Amazonian.
That's yes, that's right. She is an Amazonian, but
yep.
I also remember the actress. She's from The Witcher, isn't she? Is she Yennefer?
She is. That's Yennefer.
I do like the magic connection.
Yep. And I can guarantee you, with it being James Gunn, that was done on purpose.
Yes.
And then we got Frank Grillo, who has seen a resurgence of his career in the past few years, which I'm always happy to see. I'm a big fan of his.
And
he's playing he's playing Rick Flag Sr. He's also been basically we already know we're getting the general Rick Flag in a live action because he's signed on to play Rick Flag in live action.
He looks the part. I think
he really does.
Choice.
And I like the fact that they took the animated version and made it very similar to him. So when he does show up later as the live action Rick Flag Sr., you're going to be like, oh, dude, that's perfect. He's at that perfect age right now, too, where it makes a lot of sense for him to be the senior. So then we have Indira Varma, who is killing it as the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Like, I loved episode 2 simply because they put that focus on her and Eric Frankenstein.
Yes.
Her would-be husband, aka the Frankenstein, whatever you want to call him. His actual name in DC is Eric.
Oh, that's right. It is Eric.
Yep.
And I love that they brought, is it David Harbour?
Yep, it's David Harbour. Yep. Who is, to me, like perfect. Hellboy, he was like, these types of role are 100% his lane. And, from Stranger Things to Hellboy, his version of Hellboy, and voicing Frankenstein. Eric Frankenstein is, to me, just...
And he's used to the practical effects and the makeup. So, I mean, if they bring him into live action.
Yep. Which I've always, like, to me, has been like, give me live action Creature Commandos, and I would not be upset.
As long as the makeup, it's not overly CGI'd.
Yeah.
And it's a mix. Give me a good mix of practical and CGI. Give me a mix.
And then the legendary Alan Tudyk playing Dr. Phosphorus. He's also on tap to play Clayface in here. Yes. And another character as well. He'll be voicing on this show. So he's also going to voice Clayface on Creature Commandos as well. And yeah, he's goated at this point. Like,
he's a goat.
Give him a star on the Walk of Fame. Give him whatever he wants, because this dude is another one. Since he did Resident Alien, has just seen this huge resurgence of himself, and I'm here for it. I love it.
And do you think he shows up in Andor season 2? Because
absolutely,
one of our favorite droids. One of our favorite droids.
Absolutely, he'll be there. He will definitely be there. And I'm going to be like, you know what always struck me with Star Wars was droids. I'm a huge fan of the droids in Star Wars. Always will be. To me, that's been the most fascinating thing ever. And I was such a huge robot nerd that when Star Wars had droids, I was like, I'm in. Yeah. Say no more. I'm in.
He's the only droid that has the distinction of making me cry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think he's the only one so far that I'm just like, yeah.
And he's perfect for that kind of stuff. And it's just, Dr. Phosphorus, amazing in this show. And Sean Gunn, of course, playing G.I. Robot, the Nazi killer.
That was hilarious.
His brother. It's him. But at the same time, he's so good at voicing characters that I'm not even mad. It's perfect for G.I. Robot.
And it's the humorous. I love that he keeps his humorous streak going.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's him. That's the character. That's the comic book as well.
But I also think it's the actor too. Like that's just his thing. Like he's hilarious. He's a great like his comedic timing is hilarious in Guardians. And it's I love that he keeps that going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was great for G.I. Robot.
I loved it when he was sitting there talking to what's her name?
Nina.
Yeah, Mina.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm happy I'm killing Nazis with you, Mina. We're going to kill Nazis together, Mina. And she's like, yeah, dude, I'm happy to kill Nazis with you too, bud.
I know. I was like, it's so great. Like, where are the Nazis? Where are the Nazis at?
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
And I love when he's like guarding Princess Ileana, and he's just standing there, and he's like, in the 1940s, I killed 700 Nazis, or 7 Nazis in a concentration camp outside of whatever, city it was. And he's just getting there giving his history, and Weasel's like knocked the fuck out on the floor, just like sleeping. And so I couldn't find the Weasel voice actor, but I'm guessing that's still done by
I thought it was Sean Gunn as well.
Sean, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And
I'm looking.
It didn't really list him, and they really don't, like, when I was like writing this out, they really didn't mention him a whole lot. But I was just like, I'm pretty sure that's Sean Gunn playing the Weasel as well. Yeah,
I'm looking it up too. Yes, it's Sean Gunn.
And
I wanted to double check that.
He was the last survivor of Suicide Squad, which of course they found him just like on the beach, like stunned, like. But in case everybody don't know, this show picks up at the end of Suicide Squad and after the first season of Peacemaker. So Suicide Squad has happened. The first season of Peacemaker has happened, and that's where this show picks up with Creature Commandos. Which, and if you're thinking your history, that's where it's at, is right after those events. That's why there's no, Rick Flag Jr. leading these guys.
Yeah, I liked how it just went with like a hot start.
It really did.
It was great.
Like, I was like, okay, introduce your characters and send them on their way.
Because sometimes shows tend to do this, where we're going to give you a lot of exposition. You're going to get every backstory right off the bat, all this, and I'm like, and you lose half the episode.
And then you get 2 episodes of where they're actually doing what they do. And I'm glad they
Exactly.
didn't do that. I'm glad they're like, bleeding it into the action. Like, oh, here's why the Bride of Frankenstein is here. Here's where she comes from. And then how strong she is and what she's capable of. And that scene, her episode 2 was fantastic. And it really gave
Yes.
you what she is and why she is.
It made you care about her. Like, I loved her coming out. Like, I already loved her energy for the first episode. Just that whole, like, I'm a badass, kind of, and like she's there drinking with the guy. Like, she can run with whatever's thrown at her. And so you
Yep.
get this very tough exterior, but then he's seeing her backstory and watching that
Yep.
vulnerability that's there. I mean, I loved her even more.
Oh yeah, that she was. I'm glad that was her first. Like they gave us her first. I'm really looking forward to seeing Mina's as well, because I
Yes.
know hers is really good too.
And there's a reason. I feel like it's very strategic why she's considered the one that keeps them all in line.
Yep, and she was one of the original leaders of it, and one of the original scientists. If you go back into the comic books,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this: how familiar were you with the Creature Commandos prior to the TV series?
So I actually was not very familiar. I had not read the comics for it. I mean, obviously, I know who the Bride is. I know a lot
Mm-hmm.
of a lot of it from more of the Universal Hollywood type of, the
Yeah.
Universal Monsters type of
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. But I was still super intrigued because to me, DC, while it's been hit or miss with the live action, me putting it
Yeah.
mildly, but what I love is with their animated shows, and you and I have talked about some of the animated content before, just offline. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, the animated shows, they just knock it out of the park. For
They
some reason, they
do.
get that formula right. And
I
so
don't know why it is that way. When they can execute a TV series or a animated series so well, but they fail so badly at live action.
I know. And it's just like, I was a Batman animated series kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And, remember watching The Mask of the Phantasm. And, and now you have like The Adventures of Superman. And they just come in and they just knock it
Yep.
out of the
Well, I think
park.
a lot of that is they stay true to what the comic book is in those,
Yes.
and they don't give us
Yes.
extra fluff. It's like, okay, here's a comic book story from the comic book. We're going to animate it and bring it to life for you.
Well, like their
And that's
Harley
what's
Quinn.
enjoyable. Oh, the Harley
Exactly.
Quinn series is great, and it's
Was
actually a comic
excellent.
book.
Yeah. And I'm like,
So,
they've been nailing the formula before even Netflix came along with their animated series. I
yep.
feel like DC had it right
Mm-hmm.
on that regard. I feel like they were the ones that made you stop saying cartoons
Yep.
and into I'm watching an animated show or an
Yep.
animated series. And it just
Adult animated series is definitely for
exactly.
the kids.
Oh yeah, this one
So,
definitely is not for the kids.
no,
This one for sure
no,
is not for the kids.
no, no.
I mean, I mean, how familiar you said you were super excited for Creature Commandos.
I
Like how
was.
what is your history with? Because I know again you've got the
So
comic lore. What is your
I'm a
history with?
I've always been a big fan of the odd comic book characters like this, and I remember seeing like members of the Creature Commandos pop up in like Justice League Dark and a few other comic books throughout the years. And so for me, like, granted, I could never really get my hands on a good copies of like the older comics that feature them because they're just out of price range. But I would like first time I seen GI Robot, I was like, okay, yeah, that's so cool. And then Frankenstein actually being a comic book character to me was a selling point, but it's not your universal Frankenstein. I mean, it is, but it's its own comic book DC twist on it. And the same with the Bride of Frankenstein and the creature from the Black Lagoon, which is the creature from the Black Lagoon, but it's a female,
Yes.
and I think they're Gorgons in this is what they are, and she's this really smart scientist whose father, I think, experimented on her, or I can't remember the exact backstory. And I'm just like, dude, this is like great stuff. I love odd comic book characters, always have. Like Spawn, back when
Yeah.
it came out in the 90s, was like, this guy should not be a hero, and he's not in that term, he just don't like to see bad things happen to people trying to make good. And so it always stuck out to me. And this, of course, the original comic I told you came out in the 80s. It was written by J.M. DeMatteis and Pat Broderick. And it was a team of monsters originally brought together to fight Nazis. And I think the last time they actually appeared as a team in the comic book was the early 2000s. But of course, they, like I said, some of these guys have made sporadic appearances throughout the years in Justice League Dark and a few other magic-esque, because DC is very deep, unlike Marvel with their magic and their darkness, and one of Superman's vulnerabilities is magic. So they've always kept those kind of stories out there, and that these people pose real threats to their mainline characters, despite them not being like, Superman-esque type of stuff, type of level of superhero. But that's the one thing I've appreciated more about DC and their older Vertigo comics. And well, now Vertigo is back, so we're starting to see that come back onto the shelves as well. But just the odd comic book character to me is, those have always, stuck to me more than your Spider-Mans, your Supermans, your Batmans, your mainstream Iron Man type stuff. So, and that's what I collect to this day, is those odd characters like that. So,
I love it.
But Task Force M. So let me ask you this, like, in seeing the TV show now, are you more interested in seeing what else these characters have done and what else, like where else they could take them?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a whole different take on the Universal monsters, like that you knew and loved growing up. And I for me, I'm super curious about, what the bride can do now that she's seen what Cersei has to show her with this vision, this, and just you care about these characters. Even G.I. Robot, you care about G.I. Robot. Like you're
you
like,
really
okay,
do.
He seems like he's got a very intriguing.
So in the comic book, he does. He was found, and he was literally a robot designed to kill Nazis. And I forgot which version of it was, that he also had a robot dog, and his robot dog had a robot cat.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think the first one was called Jack 1, and then they found another version years later, and that one was called Jack 2, I think is what it was called. I can't remember what it stands for, but he's a robot designed to kill Nazis. Yeah. And just like the whole team originally, concept was, I think in 1960s when it first come out, in 1980. So we were coming out of the Cold War and all that kind of, or in the Cold War still, but the Nazis were still very much on the forefront of people's minds.
Yeah.
So it was your typical, 80s comic book, what can we do to make these guys cool? Have them kill Nazis. Yeah.
Well, and I love that the show creates curiosity about, it's not like, here, we just got a group of monsters together and good luck. It's because the concept has been done of getting the group of misfits together before, with the Suicide Squad, and they are not shameless about saying, yeah, we're gonna just do this again. But they make you care about the characters. Like it makes it makes them more relatable.
And I think that's kind of where Suicide Squad failed to some degree. Is, yeah, we know who the characters are, but you failed to make me give a shit in the movie about them.
Oh yeah.
So now that, these guys, we're getting to know the character and we care about what they are and who they are, because we're getting the action that you expect from a James Gunn flick, but he's also tying in their backstories to the main story. So that to me is pretty cool.
So for you, did you feel like this was a good choice for James Gunn to just, that this should have been the first, or should Superman have been the first property he went out with?
With this one, with chapter 1 of his universe being titled Gods and Monsters, I thought this was the perfect choice to start. And And I'm really hoping, like, yeah, I know we're getting Superman here soon, a whole nother, at least it's not going to be an origin story of Superman. We're getting an actual Superman story. We're not going to find out that he grew up in a farm in Kansas. We know that. And I like the fact that you're getting a new Superman story. You're getting him, as he is. We know who he is. We know what he is. I'm giving you a Superman story. And that works for me because I don't want to see another origin story of Superman. I don't want to see a Smallville. I don't want to see that shit no more. I want to see, Clark Kent working at the newspaper I want to see him. Don't give me the old shit that we've seen since the 80s.
Yes.
With Christopher Reeves. I don't want that no more. Just give me a straight up story. And that's what he's going to do. So I'm really excited to see what he does with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this was to me a good choice, a safe choice. Because again, with the animated track record.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was the safe choice though. Because these characters are odd. Not a lot of people know who they are.
True.
And it's certified fresh. So I will give it that. It's doing really well with views. It's doing really well and getting a lot of positive feedback. So I will say that for him. Like he took a risk and the risk worked. I will also say there was another group of artists who pitched this to DC. I can't remember when it was. It might have been the early 2000s, maybe. And they were denied. The group of artists who wanted to redo this show or this comic book, they were denied that honor. So they took their characters that they made and made them into their own thing. They're like, okay, well, we'll just rename the character, change some things up, and we'll have our own Dr. Phosphorus, our own GI robot. And that is Ghost Machine, which everybody's been hearing me ranting and rave about on my USDN shorts. Because they have Geiger, who is Dr. Phosphorus in the comic in DC, and his story is similar to Dr. Phosphorus's, only his name is Geiger. He was a normal dude, and he's this reluctant superhero fighting in a post-waste world. And then their GI robot is called Junkyard Joe. They look identical. Junkyard Joe just made his first appearance in Geiger issue 10. And they just released his compendium book. I just picked up the Geiger volume issue 1 through 6 compendium, and they're doing a really great job because it's a different story. They went the complete opposite route of what the Creature Commandos are, but it's still they're obvious that these guys got frustrated with DC trying to make a comic book for them and did their own thing, and their own thing is killing it right now. So I'm really happy for Jeff Johns and that crew over at Ghost Machine because they are doing a fantastic job delivering us something that looks similar, but yet very different. So.
I know. I'm so glad we got Creature Commandos because again, it's a fresh take. It's not like, hey, let's revisit a character that or characters that we've seen done to death pretty much in DC.
Yep.
And it's still characters that, even if you haven't read the comics, you're familiar with. Like, who doesn't know who the Bride of Frankenstein is?
Yep.
Who doesn't know who Frankenstein is?
Yep.
And yeah, I think I feel like I say safe because at least we know with the animated properties, they usually do well.
They knock it out of the park.
They usually do well. He could have done this in live action. And
I still hope he does. I still hope he
does.
Like, maybe not a full up live action Creature Commandos,
right?
But we randomly see, GI robot pop up and he's just blasting people, or we see Frankenstein in the background slaying somebody with his big ass sword or something. Like wait, was that Frankenstein we just seen?
Well,
to me that would be really cool.
I think to people though, if he had done any live action project first, people would have poo-pooed all over it because it's of the past, because of DC's track record. So I think it was smart to go animated, and in a great way. for
Yes.
people to be excited and lay out your roadmap.
And that's what he's done, and that's what he is doing. And I'm really happy to see what he's going to do next with it, because I know he actually cares about what he puts out.
So what do
We've
you
seen him
think?
do that in Marvel, when he did
Yeah,
Marvel properties.
yeah.
So,
And what do you think? Where do you think this is going to go?
I'm interested to see what he's going to do as far as like with chapter 1 being entitled Gods and Monsters. I don't know if I've seen it yet. Like, how long is this chapter going to be? How many shows is it going to, or movies is it going to have a part of it? Is it going to be, oh, Gods and Monsters is going to go for 3 TV shows and 3 movies, and it's going to culminate in one big movie type of deal before we hit chapter 2 of my DC plan. So I don't know, and I'm excited to see. I really am, because Gods and Monsters to me in comic book or in movies will always sell. Look at
Yeah,
the latest Godzillas.
this is true. This is very true.
So we'll see. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm excited for Creature Commandos and people getting to see a different side of the comic book world within DC.
I wonder if we're going to get Teen Titans in this phase, because one of the Easter eggs shows Starfire impaled.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm like, there's a
Hopefully,
reason. So I'm
or
like,
at least we get a pre-Teen Titans would be cool.
yeah.
Like, as Batman tries to, we'll see. Oh,
Yeah.
Bill with the hell yeah. Hell
Hi,
yeah, dude.
Bill.
Love that guy.
You're the best.
He really is. Such a great dude. And BCP Plus Hall of Famer, by the way.
Absolutely. Well deserved.
Very well deserved. But
we were joking around. Well, we were saying on socially distance, he's got the
Cersei is going to share the vision in
yes.
episode 4. Come on, dude. We haven't watched episode 3 yet. That's literally like queued up behind me right now on the TV.
But that goes to show he's our Rick Flag senior over there.
He's got the look. He's got the look.
He's got the look. He's got the look.
As they say over on BC Plus, he's got the dad bod demigod thing going on.
Yes.
But I'm excited, and I think James Gunn is going to do a fantastic job as the head of DC. Him and his partner, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but I know that
Peter Safran?
Yes. And I know Jim Lee is still in charge of their comic book division, so I know that's in safe, the most perfect hands they could be in right now, because Jim Lee to me is a god amongst men when it comes to comic books. He's done some of the best runs I've ever read of any book, and he just greenlit DC Vertigo again. So I'm excited that we're getting Vertigo back in the comic book world. So, and if for those who don't know, so the lady who was running DC before she stepped down, her biggest thing was, I hate Vertigo. I'm shutting it down. I don't like the content it creates. So she was done with it. She shut it down, boarded it up, shut it down. Created DC Black Label, which kind of picked up some of the titles from Vertigo. And because Vertigo, they focused more on the adult side of comic book storytelling, the blood, the gore, less superhero type stuff, more storytelling, like with the Last House, or the House by the Sea and the House by the Lake, which are great reads, by the way, if you're into horror and suspense and thriller and just different type of stuff like that. Vertigo was responsible for things like John Constantine back in the day, Preacher, and titles like that, the darker side, the magic side of the DC universe. Jim Lee is like, I'm in charge. I'm bringing back DC Vertigo. And the first title that came out on Vertigo was the follow-up, the House by the Sea, which again is the follow-up from the House by the Lake, I think is what it's called. And great reads. So I'm happy that DC is in good hands on both sides of the fence. and what they're doing right now is phenomenal work. Hopefully it stays that way.
That's my hope as well. Like, I feel like DC, for the first time in a very long time, all the way around, consistently across all of its properties, is in good hands, and it's a win for all
Superman
of
is
us.
going to be its make it or break it.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, I want them to succeed. I want them
I
to
really
succeed
do.
because it's one of those where they succeed, it kind of forces everyone else to step up too. Like with Marvel, they're going to step it up. The winners will be the fans.
Yep.
Because we
Oh yeah.
get
The
better
winners are
content.
always the fans, but they're still going to complain about it. But it doesn't
Oh, yeah.
matter. We're winning because we're getting great content by both companies.
Exactly.
So speaking of companies,
Mhm.
And things that are broken, let's talk about a broken starship that
Yeah.
kidnaps kids and runs away.
Yes.
So we're talking, of course, about Star Wars' Skeleton Crew. I didn't know what to expect from this, but it had the Goonies and Space vibe, and I was here for it. And yeah, where to start with this one? So we knew it was going to be geared toward kids from everything that we had seen so far. It gave the Space Goonies vibes, but we didn't know how it was going to get there because they really did tight lip it, so to speak. But how are you feeling about it right now?
Oh, I actually really enjoyed it. I'm an Amblin kid growing up, so E.T., kind of gave me that energy right off the bat, especially with the first, like the teasers and the trailers. We
It
get to
is
look at
very much an 80s kid adventure vibe type of show, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, like
And
I
we even got an
really
ET reference in episode 2.
exactly. So I was like, thank you, and I actually liked that this was a little bit more geared towards kids, and it's
I
not
did too.
like
Yeah,
it's not like it's for little kids, but like kids like 10, 11, 12,
kids
and
your son's age.
exactly, and I feel like it's geared towards kids, kind of like how I look back to how old I was when I watched the original trilogy, about the same age. Like, it I feel like it's a good way to get to get the kids on board, but yet still
Yep.
is fun for the parents to watch. There's still plenty of content for the parents to watch, but it was nice to have.
What was it in the 90s? We had TGIF when we
Yes.
had all those fun TV shows on a Friday night because we weren't old enough to really go out and do anything, but so they provided entertainment for us on home on the TV. And we had Urkel, who of all things made a appearance. Like when I seen him, I was like, Urkel's he grew up and became a space pirate.
Urkel's in the arc. Yeah, pretty much he is in the Star Wars universe, y'all. Steve Urkel is out there.
So I was pretty excited to see that. I was excited to the pirate. I mean he's been a pirate and everything, but he was in was he in Clone Wars? He was a part of Hondo's crew, I remember at one point.
Oh man, I'm trying to.
But he
I'm trying to think. Are you talking about the pirate that showed up in Mando?
Yes.
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 Yes. He's hopped in a couple of crews.
he has. He's like, oh, this crew sucks. Let me find me another one.
He's
yeah.
I'm like, bro, I think you might be the problem in all these crews.
Exactly.
Just
if you've had to jump around that much, you are not a very good space pirate, sir.
Exactly. Well, what I appreciated was watching this with little Seth and seeing him relate to the show because
he's that age, is he not?
Yeah, he is. He is. So he's very fascinated with like how the kids are interacting. Like he's into the story. Like it could relate to him. Whereas watching some of the other Star Wars shows, he likes characters.
Yeah.
Like we know he loves Darth Vader. He loves Anakin. He associates Ahsoka with Mama, and it's but it's the characters and not necessarily the story that appeals to him. And here he's like, oh, these kids are like me. Like, I can, like our goodest boy Neil. We love him. He's so great.
He really is. He is. So for those who don't know, Neil is played by Robert Timothy Smith. I think he voices him, and that kid, like, whoever is the actor in the suit is doing a phenomenal job with everything. But this kid that Robert Timothy Smith, who is playing Neil, like when you see him in real life, he's almost like a little Neil himself, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, they did so good with that. And then of course we got Jude Law playing Jod Nawood, which is a weird name to begin with, but you know, you can't have Star Wars without somebody having a weird name. Then you had Kiriana Grater playing KB, which is, I think she's the one. She's got the
She
she's
has
the speeder bike girl.
futuristic.
No, I thought that was Fern. No, or is Fern the light leader?
Fern is the main girl. She's the leader between the two of them.
Yeah.
KB is the girl that has she has the headset and
she's the
techie.
The Trekkie glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, I call her the techie of the group because I'm just like, yeah, she's reliable. She's a good girl to have on your team.
I really like her character in this. And then you got Ravi Kabucaniers playing Wim, who is he's very much the guy who's going to get you into trouble. And he has done that now every episode.
I mean, I like Wim though. Like he reminds me a lot of my kiddo in a lot of ways because my kid's going to do whatever he wants.
And if there's a button that says do not push, he's going to be the one to push it.
And I mean, but he's the kid that wants the adventure and wants the, he's the one that kicks everything off by checking, like, look what I found and doing this. And curiosity does kill the cat. But at the same time, he's just such a fun, like,
or blast you off into outer space.
Exactly. And so, but just the fact that he's not afraid to pursue something, like to say, I'm going on an adventure, fearless, and just he's going to do what he's going to do. And so
we're 3 episodes in. I know you're an episode behind.
I am.
But so far, who is your favorite character so far?
Again, for me, because of the personal bias, Neil obviously is like the goodest boy, like just the goodest boy. But if I had to pick somebody other than Neil, for me, it's Wim, because again, he reminds me so much of my kid, because Seth would totally push the button 1,010%. Like, look at you, I would have
pushed the button, and I'm 40. Ish.
So it's like, he's like the cat that looks at you defiantly while knocking the glass off the table, like the whole. That is.
I didn't do it though.
Yeah, or no, it's like, I'm gonna do it. Just that scoot, and then the glass falls over. Like, you're telling him not to, and they're gonna do it anyway.
Mine would do it.
Yeah. So Wim reminds me so much of my own that I'm like, okay. And you feel for Wim though, because you see where he's at. Like, he's a lonely child.
Yep. And his dad works constantly.
And his dad just kind of dismisses him a little bit. Like, not to be mean, I think his dad is just so preoccupied with his work.
With his evaluations.
And it's just like, and so you understand where Wim's longing for more and for freedom, and where he buries himself in the stories of the Jedi. And just, you see the dreamer in him, and you understand why.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But who's your favorite?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Nick Frostis
Smee
is my favorite. And I love this robot. This droid is awesome. And I think I was talking to you and I was like, did you recognize the name SM-33? And it's Shmi. And if for those who don't know, Shmi is Captain Hook's first mate.
Yes.
And when I caught the reference, I was like, yes! Awesome. Love it. It makes perfect sense. And I'm so happy they did it. So I was ecstatic when I found out Shmi, SM-33, was the reference to Captain Hook's best mate. And I was like, I love it, because every good pirate ship needs to have a best mate. And Nick Frost is killing it as Shmi.
Yeah. I have to say, I give Disney props, and like, the casting for for across the board, because the droid actors they've brought in,
they always have great droid guys, whether it's voicing them or playing the actual droid themselves. And for Nick Frost, who I love so much, being Shmi, is perfect because I mean he's always like the best mate in movies.
Yes.
So he was the perfect best mate for a pirate ship without a captain currently.
I mean, they've just been slaying. Like the shows themselves can be hit or miss, but the droid casting
Always
on
spot on and perfect.
always spot on. Like I popped for David Tennant
I will
in
always
Ahsoka.
pop for him.
Always, forever,
Always.
forever. Please bring him back. Please bring. Yeah, I mean, he has to be back for Ahsoka season 2. But you know, Nick Frost was. I agree with you. Perfect for Smee, and just even the nuances of getting the like. I can envision Nick Frost in the studio doing the voiceover in the pirate mode. Like
that's like once I realized who it was, I seen him in there like doing the pirate dance, doing the little pirate thing, and like actually acting it out as he did the voice. And he's a jolly fellow, and I'm ecstatic that it's Nick Frost doing it.
Whoever is casting droids, please continue, keep up the good work because we're happy.
What's up, Wendy? Thanks for joining us today on
Hello.
A very special start time for us. Normally we're doing this at 8:30 at night, and today it just so happened to work out. And I like this one. I think if we do this again, I'm just going to call it Saturday morning special.
I like it.
Just like in the cartoon days.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to call this one when we do a Saturday morning special.
It's very fitting, given that this is giving us this 80s at the time when we had.
Exactly. It's all we had. I mean, I was raised on cartoons and bowls of cereal.
Facts.
And so let's start jumping into it a little bit more. So 4 kids make a mysterious discovery. The Onyx Cinder is the name of the ship on their home planet of Aten that leads them to get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. So Star Wars lore in this show, Aten is a mysterious treasure planet that nobody has ever actually seen or been to, which I think is cool. They're giving us a treasure planet reference, which is also another Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, is it called Treasure Planet? What's that movie called?
It is Treasure Planet, I think. The cartoon movie?
Yeah.
I think it is Treasure Planet. It was like Treasure Island, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's the vibe I was getting. I can see the characters from.
I see the faces.
I just can't remember if that's the right name for the movie.
I'm gonna look now. I have to look it up because it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna.
But
yes, it is Treasure Planet.
Perfect. I nailed it. I knew what I was talking about all along. But so episode 1, we see the kids. You know, they're in school. It's boring. We notice, you know, of course, they're getting ready to take their, what I can guess is like a career assessment test that determines their futures at such a young age too, which is it makes sense for this hidden planet that at a very young age, these kids would be doing a test like this to determine, you know, their role in society, basically. But of course, you know, kids will be kids and teens will be teens. And you get that teenage angst that, you know, I want adventure, you know, because that's what kids want is adventure and fun. And that's what we get. So to put it in perspective, Skeleton Crew takes place in the same time frame as Mandalorian.
Yes.
So that way, because so when we think about it, it's before the race series.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make that known and clear in case anybody was wondering. And so episode 1, like I was saying, they're doing this test to determine their futures. And I think was the end of episode 1 or during episode 2? I think it was right at the end of episode 1 is when they blast off.
Yes. In
the Onyx Cinder and clear the planet's barrier, which the planet is hidden by a barrier. And off on the adventure they go. And then they of course, I think it was in the beginning of episode 2 is when Smee finally wakes up and scares the shit out of the kids. And of course, they find themselves getting in trouble on what's the name of the planet? Port Borgo.
Yes.
is where they end up going, because that's what Shmi knows. He's like, hey, it's a pirate planet, a pirate port, but somebody may have heard of your planet, and maybe we can start there. Which, of course, leads to them getting thrown in a brig, meeting Jod, who is played by Jude Law, and they think he is a Jedi. We still don't really know if he is a Jedi or not. Which we do know, or I think he is the pirate who is being
who got mutinied. He
got
got Julius
mutinied
Caesar.
at the very beginning of the show when it opened up. So I mean, it looks very familiar, but the mask was really cool that he was wearing. Like, that was a dope mask, and I hope Disney does one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure if Disney doesn't do it, someone will 3D print one. I'm sure out there. But
visit.
But yeah, what do you think about this planet? I'm super intrigued because, again,
at Atten or
at Atten.
Yes, yeah, I'm very intrigued because it's a new planet, and it's supposedly hidden by the Empire, away from everything.
Well, the crazy part, it's almost like for
There's
them.
the second one.
Oh,
what you doing, Evie? Huh? What you doing, Evie?
It's like you're talking about cute, like, space creatures and kids, and I have to be part of the cuteness. I have to be part of it.
That's Evie. That's my daughter's.
Oh, she wanted to make an appearance.
She did, and she's
so
a
cute.
handful.
I like
her and her
bell.
brother. Her and Toby don't get along.
Oh no!
They'll chase each other. They don't really hurt each other, but they definitely just don't get along.
But for me, it's almost like the planet, like Order 66, never happened, and the events of the original trilogy never happened because I was,
they do feel like they're locked away.
Yes,
and very outside of it. Yes, they're a part of the Empire still, but they seem cut off from the outside world.
Well,
of the greater dangers happening within the Empire.
And looking at like what they're doing with the Great Work, like the way they kept referencing that's a High Republic reference. Because that was Lena's soul, the head of the council for the council, but the Senate for High Republic, and I was like,
I wasn't going to bring that up because you're going to see that in episode 3, and I know you hadn't watched episode 3 yet. But yes, it is a High Republic reference.
Okay, so I'm right. That's what.
So this planet could be very well tucked away since the Old Republic.
That's what I'm like. But then,
so they don't have any clue about anything that's happened then.
Yeah, because even the little storyboard he's reading, somebody went and translated all of the text online. You saw that too.
Yep.
And I'm like, kudos to whoever did that because it's a lot of work. But it's all stories of Jedi pre-Skywalker.
Yep.
Yeah, High Republic.
Yep.
So that's interesting. It's fascinating.
So I'm waiting. We'll have to see how the story plays out. But I don't want to like dig too much into it because it's still ongoing, and I don't want to give a whole lot away because I know people are watching it. Sure. And I kind of wanted to present it as hey, we're watching it. It's cool. Everybody should be watching it because you're going to get cool comic book references as well. Yeah. And by that, I mean Crimson Jack. I know you haven't seen the episode yet, but Crimson Jack is actually from the original Marvel Star Wars comic from 1977.
That's right. Yes.
And he was Han Solo's arch nemesis. He actually robbed Han Solo of his reward from the Rebel Alliance. So the money that he was going to pay Jabba the Hutt.
He's the one. He's
the one that stole it. That's why he got frozen in carbonite.
Yes.
However, Han does get him back. Han is the dirtiest scoundrel in the Empire, so Han does get him back, but that's the reason why he got frozen in carbonite.
That's right. I'm like,
I thought that was the coolest reference ever that you're going to get in Star Wars lore. To me, now it's really cool that they made a reference to Crimson Jack.
See, what I'm loving about the show is the references to the eras. Like like, this we're talking about how this feels like Space Goonies and
Mm-hmm.
ET and Amblin era, and yet the references they're pulling are from Star Wars content around that time, and I
Yep.
love that. Like, was it just me, or did you pop for the hologram? That's all I'm gonna
Oh,
say.
yes. Yes.
I was like, she's canon now, y'all.
Yep. Wait till you watch episode 3 and a B1 battle droid waits up asking, "Did we win?"
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yes. It was
I'm
the coolest thing ever because I was laughing my ass off because he's like, "Did we win?" And then he fell apart. I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah, Brandon got mad at me because he's like, "Will you watch?" I was like, "Well, because we were going to talk about him," and he's just like, "Well, I wanted to watch," and I'm like, "Well,
No,
hurry up
no,
and
you have
watch."
to wait for the
I'm
short
like, I am
king.
supposed to watch the Star Wars content. You got to keep up.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Like one of my other favorite details that shows up is a T-65 from Blue Squadron
And wait, is it?
X-wings.
Yes.
So
Wait,
the
was it
T-70 is the newest ones.
that's about to say that the new, yeah, that's in the third
T-60,
episode it comes in because I don't remember seeing it in the
yeah,
second.
it's
Yeah, it's
episode
the third.
3. It's
Ah, I'm
Blue
excited.
Squadron T-65s, which is really cool to see because we got Blue Squadron. We know Red Squadron
Yes,
very well. We've seen some references to Blue Squadron here and there,
but
but they
full
actually
blown.
made a full up like Blue Squadron landed. Yeah, it was dope as hell.
And I know we mentioned Jude Law and kind of a little bit, but I just have to give props to Disney for getting Jude Law because,
Yes.
I know a lot of people, he's been fairly quiet-ish
Mm-hmm.
lately, but
Yep.
really, like, looking back, like when we were growing up, like he was everywhere.
Everywhere.
He was everywhere.
And I don't want
And
to
he
say I'm a
has
Jude Law fan, but I
he's
really
he's got the
he,
roguish charm
he does.
for this.
He really does. And I've enjoyed so far watching him in this because like it was sporadic, like, hey, let's grab Jude Law for fucking Star Wars. Like, where does that come from, Like, who thought of that? Like, oh, this guy's gonna be perfect for this. So he's killing it too. He's doing so good.
He is. I mean, even just his moment when he makes his appearance in the jail cell, just that first look at him and reveal, like straight up, I'm like, "Hey, Jude Law, like you're back. You're back, bro. Welcome back.
It was
Welcome to Star
definitely a
Wars."
welcome back moment, and he's killing it. I'm enjoying him very much.
And I
But I don't
love
want
that
to.
his wardrobe is the whole
Yes, Lando space pirate vibe
Yeah, it's
too.
that
So it's
Lando
really cool.
energy. I love it. We won't kill it too much though. You're
No,
right.
no, and
All
actually,
right.
that's where we're
Sorry.
gonna close it out because I don't want to give too
Okay.
much away.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So,
You know me. I get super excited. You
oh,
got
I
to rein
know,
me in and be like,
I know you
"Whoa,
do.
slow me down."
But let's hit the final shots and thought. Actually, you gotta wait. I'll be
Okay,
right.
absolute pleasure. And it's always fun to chat nerd things with you because it's just you have so much knowledge. And again, keep it up with the shorts because those are great. And everybody come in, support USDN because obviously fantastic podcast and Jeff's a
I
great guy.
appreciate it. I appreciate
So
it. You're churching me up right now.
I'm just saying facts. I'm just saying
Thank you.
facts.
Thank you.
That's all I'm doing. So,
Okay.
of course, as Jeff mentioned earlier, I am Amanda Rivas from the Pop Break. I am the co-host of our flagship podcast on the network, and this is a socially distanced podcast, along with the aforementioned Bill Botkin, where every week we review different pop culture topics that happen. We actually covered Creature Commandos in our latest episode. We are going to be torturing Bill this coming week with Hot Frosty.
Ooh,
on
nice.
Netflix.
Nice.
That'll be our episode this
I seen
coming
the preview
week.
for that, and I was like, "That's actually kind of interesting." Am I
Yes,
gonna watch it? No, but it looks really interesting.
there are some that we have thoughts. I have thoughts, and I will spare Bill and lead that episode of the podcast because I'm
Good
sure
for
he's got
you.
loads of thoughts on it. But
Oh, I'm
we're
sure he does.
oh
If you
yeah,
find him without one, something's wrong.
exactly. So I mean, he survived Bridgerton, so he should be fine with
God
Hot
bless him.
Frosty.
I tried. I made it through an episode, and I was like, "Okay, never, ever again will I do that to myself. That is punishment."
Oh,
But
but
kudos to all you ladies out there watching Bridgerton. The new season's been approved. It's coming. Don't know when, but I know it's coming.
there you go. There you go.
And they've got
So
some new cast coming to join them as well.
yeah, it's good. It should be exciting. I know my sister's waiting for the day. So, but yes, so socially distanced again. We you can catch us on all streaming platforms every Thursday. And I am also on our Anime Pop podcast that drops monthly. Our last episode, we were covering Dan to Dan, which is fantastic, by the way.
Fantastic.
It is.
The last episode left me a little empty, but it was a cool story they told in that episode.
Yeah. And it's only going to get better. And
absolutely.
I figure it's where we're at in Dan to Dan, without spoiling too much, is exactly where I called that I think we were going to end the first season. So season 2, though, is expected summer 2025. So probably whenever, I'm going to say probably July.
Wow, that's actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting on Chainsaw Man season 2.
I know. Well, we're getting the movie, and I'm hearing summer as well. So I think it's all going to be July,
because they're going to. So this arc they're going to turn into a movie before they go into an actual second season of it. I'm fine with that because they're doing Demon Slayer, I think, the same way.
Demon Slayer 3. We're getting 3 movies. So hopefully, probably next week, I think with Jump Festa, we might have some dates. That would be cool. Kind of keeping an eye out on that. But anyway, we and when Chainsaw Man drops, we're definitely going to cover it, and you'll have to join us.
Oh, absolutely. I like my daughter has the entire collection of Chainsaw Man, and I'm like, I'm in. Like, the moment they said, "Hey, we're making an anime," and I watched it, I was like, "All right, yeah, I'm in." Same goes for like Dan to Dan's been. Chainsaw Man has probably. I love the intros and outros to them because they did famous gangster movies.
Yes.
As their intros and outros, and it was phenomenal. I love how they changed it up every single episode.
Yes, so good. And if y'all ever get the chance to meet Ryan Colt Levy in person, he is phenomenal as just a great person, because as Chainsaw Man, Denji's English dub actor, he's great. So I was like, anything on Reese? No. Is this coming? Maybe, but everything is saying at least right now summer. But we'll see for 2025. But at least Dan to Dan, they're saying definitely summer 2025.
That's awesome because it has been really, really good.
It's fantastic.
I don't, and you know me, I don't watch a whole lot of anime. So if I'm actually sitting down and watching an anime, it's really damn good.
Yeah, and speaking of we also covered Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War, current season 3, and of course. From the DFPN, we had Kelvin on the episode. And you know Kelvin, if he and the Eat the Cake guys that y'all have on the network, shout out to them because they're
doing
their
a bang up
job.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I tune in when I can, and very much a fan of their podcast as well. So if they're recommending it, I'm always happy to hear what other
literally like anything Kelvin and Willie and those guys over at ETCA recommend. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a watch. And I usually end up being stuck. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Well, I appreciate them too, because it's nice to hear when other really credible podcasts really, really, they recommend,
and
we're
they
all
put
on the
in
same
a
page.
lot of work into it.
They do.
And
so
the whole network as a whole this year, 2024 for us has been a phenomenal year. And going into 2025, there's going to be a couple of nits-ups. So to speak, but it's still going to be, I think 2025 will be even bigger than 2024.
Yeah. So definitely shout out to you guys on the DFPN too. So
thank you.
Of course, we're looking forward to having more of y'all on Anime Pop as well.
Absolutely. We love coming over and working with y'all, and vice versa as well. I've had Bill on, Ben.
Yeah.
Randy is probably coming in the future. I know I'm lining with him as well.
Good. Randy's
he hit me up not that long ago. He was like, "Hey, I got a thing." I'm like, "Dude, just send it to me. Let's do it."
Oh,
that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
It. For Media Lit,
say when.
They're great. They are great.
I do. I've listened to the last few episodes and they've been really great. So I'm excited
very good
to do that. I have an episode of Superhero Cinephiles coming out in January. I think January 20th or 21st. And that's a fun show to do. I'm probably going to go back on and do Ninja Turtles with him.
Oh, nice!
So I'll cover the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and just destroy it because it was Michael Bay and he ruined Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
and Transformers.
Yes,
and Transformers. But our new episode of Anime Pop will drop on Monday, and we do a anime year in review look back over revisiting some favorites we covered over the year, and also our anime awards as well. So so that's going to be dropping on Monday with my co-host Josh Sarnecki, and we are mapping out 2025, and it's going to be a busy
I'm excited to see what y'all are going to do.
Yeah. So again,
Because
thank you for having us.
I've already seen 2025 looks really good for anime.
It does.
And I'm like already in my back of my head, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch that one and that one. And
April in particular looks like it's going to be an insane month for anime. So lots to cover on that. But of course, you can find both podcasts on all streaming platforms. Socially Distanced does have its own stream, whereas Anime Pop is part of the Pop Break Network on all streaming platforms. Of course, you can follow me at Amandalorian on Instagram and Threads. And of course, the Short King and I have our couples cosplay, as mentioned earlier, for Brandalorian. That's at Brandalorian on Instagram. Pictures are coming up with our reels, I should say, because we had a lot of pictures. Reels are coming up.
Yeah, I've been watching those like little mini movies.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun making those. I'm baby stepping.
Keep them coming.
Baby stepping. So really enjoyed our time at NostalgiaCon with our 2 new cosplays, and of course our Naruto returning cosplays.
Now, the Naruto is really cool.
Thank you. I made my Chidori. That was my yeah. So we had a great time doing that particular con. We do have another con in January that's coming up as well that we'll be attending. So pictures will be coming up for that when we attend. Nice. And then of course I am also at Resner's Chick on X and Blue Sky as well. So
and now's a perfect time to say they have a new album coming out.
Yes.
They're doing the whole entire album to one of the upcoming video games this year or for 2025.
Yeah.
So Trent Reznor is a busy man right now, and I enjoy seeing that.
Yes.
New music from Nine Inch Nails is always a good thing.
Yes, he is he has written the soundtrack for my life on many occasions. So love Trent Reznor, always will. Hence why he stays in the handle of my name as much as possible. So my little homage to him. But of course, please follow the Pop Break as well on all social media platforms, most importantly. And of course, I think we are spelt out I think it's thepopbreak.com on YouTube because someone took our domain. Yeah. It happens.
I noticed.
But yeah, that's a little bit about me. But I mean, you guys have got some great stuff cooking on your network. Thank you again for having me.
Hey, absolutely. Amanda, you are welcome back anytime as one of my council members. And so coming up from USDN, this will be the last live show for the year. You will get, this show will drop during Christmas break. Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 will drop next week with Ben. And so I spaced it out to where I get to drop shows during the holiday without having to go live, which is always great to do. I planned ahead this year and had it figured out.
Yay.
I will still drop 2 more weeks of 2024, which is crazy. This year went by super fast. So you'll get 2 more episodes of me doing comic book day drops. And then I don't know what I'll be back in with in January, but I'll probably do a best of 2024 or a 2024 year in review like I did last year. And then see what the world takes us. I know I'll do the finales of Creature Commandos, of Skeleton Crew will be in there. But it's already looking to be a busy 2025. I got some big things coming in 2025 as well. Of course, you can find USDN on all social media platforms. So for Blue Sky is USDN Chairman, because that is definitely more about me and some of the work that I'm doing, such as getting to do the comic book reviews for people, which is really cool that I'm being asked to do that. But you can still follow me over there if you're on Blue Sky. I highly recommend that platform. It is a really cool platform to showcase yourself and what you do. That's it from me. Amanda, anything else from you? If not, we'll close it out.
Other than just wanted to tell everybody here, thanks for tuning in, hanging out with us, and of course, just wishing everybody a happy holidays, and to you too, my dear friend. Again, thank you.
I appreciate it. Happy holidays to y'all. Can't wait to see what little man gets for Christmas this year. As always, a big thank you to DFPN for giving me a platform to give you this podcast on. As always, we would love your feedback. If you enjoyed this show, let us know. And if you did enjoy this show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share us with your family and friends. I like to think we are a family-friendly podcast, minus some 4-letter words on occasions, which I do apologize about in advance. That's it from me, the chairman. So on behalf of myself, the Council of Nerds, and the Pop Break as well, since they loan me all their people from time to time, I just want to say thank you to all, and that this show is USDN approved.
It's a trap!